Good morning. It's a chilly morning here at Poppy Corners. It's around, well, it's warmer now that the sun's out, but it was like 34 this morning, which for us is pretty chilly. I know that for you in New York and Minnesota, that's nothing, but for us here, that's chilly. And we've had a lot of chilly mornings. You know, I think I remember telling you that our first average frost date here in Zone 9B is December 15th. But we had our first frost this year in the middle of November, and we've had many since then. So it makes me glad we got all these covers up. And what that means in terms of the plants is that nothing's growing very fast. There's not a lot to show you in terms of the garden. There's a ton of stuff that needs to get done here today, so I thought I'd bring you along and show you all our projects. The other day when I took out the tomato vines, I think that was Tuesday, I saw so much fruit on the vines I couldn't bear to put it in the compost, and it was beautiful at the time, so I brought it inside. These plants had been hit by frost 3 times, so I really didn't have high hopes for it, but I had read several articles that said you can bring green tomatoes in and ripen them inside. It would take oftentimes more than a month, but you could do it, and so I thought I'd give it a try. But here's the thing. Since they'd been hit by frost, they started to rot very quickly. So this article that I read said you would know right away if your tomatoes have been hit by frost because they would start to change color very rapidly and darken, and that's what all of them are doing. And even a few of them must have had a creature inside because they've been nibbled. So these are all going in the compost after all. We're not going to be able to have an experiment over the winter to see if they ripen. I'm sorry about that. But it was interesting to do this even for a couple of days. Next year I might try earlier. I'm here under the peach tree. The peach tree has finally lost 99.9% of its leaves, and so it's time to spray it for peach leaf curl. Okay, peach leaf curl is like the #1 problem with peach trees. And nectarines too. And what it does, it's a fungus, and it affects the leaves first, and you see it on the leaves, and they get all curly. Let's see if we can pick a leaf. Here's a leaf still on the tree. This leaf is fine. But peach leaf curl makes the leaves kind of bubbly and puckered and orange, and it gets all gross. I guess of course it doesn't have it now, so I can't show you, but it's really bad. If it goes untreated, it can affect the fruit. So what I found is that some years I have to spray this tree, and some years I don't. And of course you never know until it starts to happen, and it happens in the spring when the leaves come out. So this year I noticed it big time, so I thought we had to spray, and we are. I'll spray it with a copper fungicide. Copper fungicides are organic, but with heavy use they can run off into the water supply. They're not good for the soil, they kill microbes, you know, the whole deal. So even though it's organic, it doesn't mean it's necessarily the best thing to use. And so I use it probably once every 3 years. Whenever I notice a problem the next winter, that's when I spray. So I don't do it every year as a matter of course. I only do it when I notice that there's a problem, and there was a problem this year. So it's time to spray. So I've prepared my treatment over here of copper. Copper looks really amazing in its liquid form, and then you put it in a sprayer, and it's about 2 ounces to a gallon of water, and then you spray the tree. You spray the whole tree, the whole trunk, and the leaves, and the branches, whatever you see on the peach tree you spray. And you want to spray to the point of it dripping, but you don't want to spray so much that you have a lot of runoff, so it's a delicate balance. What else do I want to tell you? Oh, you need to do this 3 times in the winter, usually here in Northern California, December, January, and February, so before the buds come out. It's One other thing about peach leaf curl. If you're planning on planting some new peach trees or nectarine trees, you can get resistant varieties, fungus resistant varieties, and that's the way you should go. But this peach tree was here when we moved in 13 years ago. I have no idea what kind it is. It's amazing it's still alive. Peach trees don't usually live this long. I have no idea when it was planted. So for us, this is kind of something we just have to do every so often. But if you're going to start with new, get a resistant variety, absolutely. I just saw this bee going for the favas. Hey, I've never seen a bee on these before. I think favas are self-pollinating. What's this bee getting? Is she getting nectar? She must be. There's no pollen in her collecting sacks. So she must be going for the nectar. How's she gonna get in there? She's the wrong size for this blossom. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna get in there? Are you gonna rob it by poking a hole in the top? Nope, she's gonna try again here. Let's see if we can figure out how she does it. Oh, okay, this could be a like 3-hour video watching a bee. Remember how a couple of weeks ago we made apple cider vinegar? Actually, it took months, but we bottled it a couple weeks ago. And then I put it in this bottle. And I just went to look at it. And the mold has regrown on the top. So this batch of apple cider vinegar is toast. Yuck! I often buy ginger at the store for stir fries or marinating. I use a lot of ginger, and yesterday I bought some for a recipe, and you know how ginger kind of comes in a hand shape? I used just the palm for the recipe, and then I cut off all of the little fingers on the ginger, and I let them dry overnight so that they sealed a little bit. So those edges that I cut off sealed, and they're not wet and fresh. And I'm gonna plant them, and I'm gonna see what happens. Ginger is apparently fairly easy to grow. It's a tropical plant, so it likes warm but filtered sunlight, and it likes a lot of humidity. Now, I have plenty of sunlight, filtered sunlight even. I don't have a lot of humidity, so I'm gonna have to be very careful to keep it moist. And I've given it some very light, fluffy soil. Can you see that? This is a organic potting soil that I had on hand, and I'm gonna plant 3 fingers in this pot, which is probably 2 feet long by a foot wide. I don't know, something like that. And I'm gonna find a sheltered spot for it over the winter where it won't get any frost. I may even take it inside and put it in a window. And then in the spring, find it a place that has this sort of jungly atmosphere covered over filtered sunlight, and try to keep it moist, and we'll see what happens. Won't this be cool? And then if you can grow it and harvest the rhizome, we call it ginger root, but it's really a rhizome, and then I'll always have more to plant, and I can just keep it going forever. Don't you think that's a neat idea? So let's see how it works out. I'll let you know as the months go by. Hey, what do you think about this setup for the ginger? This is our bedroom window, and it's south facing, and this is a table that I keep in the garage in the summer, and I bring it in here in the winter, and I do my seed starting up here, my tomatoes and peppers, but I put the ginger down here. Don't you think that'll work? And then I've got my spray bottle, and I can just spray it to keep it moist. I think it's going to be perfect. This is a table my dad made, and I'm ruining it by using it for this purpose. Sorry, Dad, but it's perfect. It's the perfect size. So anyway, let's see how that works out. I just want to show you this beautiful thing that came from Baker Creek. This is not their free catalog. This is one I paid for. It's $10. They do have a free catalog, but this year I bought this one because it looks so amazing. And you can see all the notes I have here at the top. So many different seeds that I want to get. The pictures are gorgeous. Here's the tomatoes. Man, I listed, I think, 20 different tomatoes in here I want to get. Look at that. I've heard about this tomato, Berkeley tie-dye. I'm going to try it this year. So I told my kids, this is the Christmas gift I want. All you have to do, oh dear, what was that? That's a rutabaga. And that's the founder of Baker Creek. Wow, that's quite a vegetable. Looks interesting. So anyway, I told my kids that for Christmas, all they have to do is look in this catalog and buy me any of the numerous things I've marked, and I will be thrilled. Time to turn the compost. This is one of those jobs I hate. But I watch a YouTuber who does a gardening thing, and he calls it Earth's Gym. And so that's how I look at it. It's Earth's Gym. I'm getting my good workout. So compost should be turned probably more frequently than I do it. I probably do it every 3 months. And it should be kept moist. Compost will happen though, even if you don't do those things. But the turning really does help. Let me show you what I got here. This is the compost that I put the tomatoes in. It's full. All the tomato plants and everything, that's a full compost. This one has been sitting for quite a while, and you can see that it's decomposed a lot, but it needs to be turned. So let's get to it. Look what I just found. I got down under this compost. Boy, it's nice and moist in here, and I haven't watered it in a while. And look down here, there's some nice soil, beautiful stuff. And I saw plenty of earthworms working, so it's getting there. This compost should be ready to use by spring. Oh, there's a worm. Here's a worm. Hey buddy. They're like the hardest workers in the garden. Really happy to have any worms. I forgot to say why turning your compost is important. It's important because your compost needs oxygen to decompose, right? It's an aerobic system. It needs air. It needs water. If your compost never gets turned, it's an anaerobic system. And that's when yucky stuff can grow. So it's the opposite of what you want to do in your garden beds. In your garden beds, you don't want to till because you don't want to disturb any of the creatures, and you give the beds oxygen by putting in your pitchfork or your broad fork and just loosening the soil underneath to provide oxygen. But a compost pile needs a lot of oxygen to decompose. So you need to turn it regularly. That's why we do it. I think that's it for today. I still have some things to do in the garden, but I don't think you'd be interested. It's pruning. I need to prune the perennials and get them down to small clumps so that they regenerate over the winter. It's a beautiful day now, so I'm going to spend as much time outdoors as I can. Look for my blog on Monday or Tuesday, because I'm going to something really cool tomorrow on Sunday tomorrow. I'm going to, I don't know what to call this. I think it's called the Mycological Fair. It's a fungus fair, right? There's a Mycological Society of San Francisco. Of course there is, where they do educational stuff and they take you out and show you where to find mushrooms. And anyway, they're having this huge fair tomorrow with cooking demonstrations and gardening demonstrations and all kinds of interesting stuff, tastings. So I should be writing about that on Monday or Tuesday. I'm really excited. And next week, I'm gone all day on Saturday at a special watershed gardening, how to garden in your watershed, for your watershed, which I think is really cool. It's down in San Jose. So I don't know if our video will be out on Saturday or if it'll be out on Sunday, but we'll definitely do a video next week. So we'll see you then. I hope you have a great rest of the weekend. I'm going to enjoy this beautiful sunshine. Take care. Hope you're out in your garden. See you soon.